sitting here together with JP Rangaswami. Nice to have you with me for this little discussion. We're at the CloudForce event in Munich of Salesforce. So last time we've seen you have still been with BT, but now you're the chief scientist of Salesforce.
Yep.
And in this position, you're also evangelizing the world about the social and connected enterprise.
Yes.
What is the reality of this vision? Are the companies already on track with this vision, or where do we stand?
Oh, I think that they are very much on track. Rather than claim that companies had anything antisocial about them, the tools were not necessarily in place to be able to have true collaboration within the company and beyond the company. As the McKinsey study, Michael Chewy and team has shown, there is as much value to be generated within the company as beyond the company when you start connecting your customers, your supply chain, and your staff. That networked organization has been dreamt about for a while, but it wasn't necessarily affordable, nor was the technology particularly effective. I've seen that change. I've seen the kind of take-up of the connected enterprise. Implementation will not happen homogeneously across the entire organization. Okay? Culturally, that will always be different pockets at different times, but we've seen the early adopter to mainstream to late adopter structure in almost any shifts. Right? The issue is not technical, it's cultural. And culture always is heterogeneous.
Yeah. So this leads me to the second question on for this social and connected enterprise. We need the individuals within the enterprise providing all the information, sharing all the information. What is the big challenge? Well, you mentioned already the culture, but getting more in detail on the culture, what is the big challenge for the people on this?
Well, I think one of the studies that was carried out actually in Germany, I think a year ago for CloudForce Munich, was about the capacity for individuals and for the culture to share. And I think you will find the results interesting. Make sure you pick that up. People actually have a sharing mentality. Okay, the example I would take is food. Okay, when I grew up in India, the culture within the country was, if I found two friends, I wanted to have dinner with them, and I brought them home. Magically, my mother would expand the meal to have 2 extra people. When I came to England, then I remember once inviting 2 friends to come home for dinner, and this was before the mobile phone. And I didn't have time to tell my wife I was doing that. And we had steak. And suddenly there was a challenge because the food was not designed for sharing. Okay? That meant that she had exactly as many steaks as there were people planned for dinner, and so many potatoes, and everything was planned and itemized. So while it was good planning, it had no expansion capability. Today, the technology is being able to do what people have wanted to do, because people have culturally wanted to share. And I think enough of the research that we've shown says man is a social animal. Man doesn't start antisocial and become social. Man starts social and can sometimes be constrained into becoming antisocial because of the underlying tools.
But the knowledge management theorists, they always are claiming that some information can't be codified and therefore is not shareable. So what would you say?
Yeah, I know, but I've spent time with people like John Hagel and John Seeley Brown, and what was being worked out and what they did at the Center for the Edge on the power of pull. If you actually look into it, what they mean by sort of the collaboration curve and creation spaces are about the ability to collect, surface, and distribute tacit information. Okay, that which we thought we could not codify is discoverable if you create the right environments to discover them.
Okay, but creating the right environments needs creating environments where there's a lot of engagement, where network effects show the benefits for sharing.
Absolutely.
What is the challenge for creating those environments?
I think that you find that, in the more successful environments, you get a top-down and a bottom-up at the same time. There has to be a championing of the cause, so that the highest ranks of the company are aware that there is a need for a paradigm shift, and they support it, and they make at least the cultural signal to invest, because these are not cost expensive. They are much more to do with commitment. And then the grassroots start showing the adoption and can transform the entire company as that scales. Right? When we see that happening, where there is, not just top down but bottom up as well, and the two happen together, then the barriers to adoption largely get removed. Mm-hmm. Right? Over time, you will see this affect, team sort of payout structures and compensations, how people get reviewed for their work, performance management, target setting, bonus structures, many things will change over time. But the beginning is a recognition that teamwork is more important than individual work, and that a willingness to invest in the infrastructure to share is there top down and bottom up. And we're seeing more of that.
Earlier you talked a little bit about in a little talk, you talked about the importance of the gamification method or approach to achieve those engaging environments. Is this also another challenge for the companies?
Oh, very much so. I think that companies have spent a long time trying to increase performance levels, particularly in hard economic circumstances. Raising those levels becomes important. Reducing attrition, getting better customer and employee satisfaction, all these things, engagement has now become at the core of many transformational pieces. So when we're in the business of business transformation, we have to find ways of helping our customers raise their performance levels, which means raising engagement right across the spectrum. And there is one of the best places to learn about how to raise engagement has been from the gaming community. So the transference of tools from that community into the workplace, which is what people have called gamification. If you want, you could use other terms and just call it performance enhancement or engagement improvement. Mm-hmm. Right? People have chosen that term, so I continue with it, but the term can be misleading. But the underlying premise of improving performance is absolutely critical.
In the sphere of solutions for the connected enterprise and social enterprise, there are two different approaches, the on-premise approach and the cloud service approach. So Salesforce is clearly about cloud services. What's the advantage of cloud services for this connected vision?
I think there are many advantages. I mean, one of the sort of unexpected advantages is the far higher quality of security when you deal with a multi-tenant model in the cloud. Okay, you have a reduced attack surface because it's multi-tenant code. You can respond to threats much more effectively because you don't take months to find a patch. You could take days to be able to implement, if not hours. Yeah. You don't have the backwardation problem of multiple versions distributed everywhere, therefore keeping you more vulnerable and more exposed. And the fact that it is the same code base everywhere means that there is a far higher capacity for people to share in a controlled manner compared to the weaknesses of having distributed multi-version out-of-date code all over the place. So, I love the idea of the cloud because it's not just, it's the no software, no upgrades. You don't have to, you use general purpose stuff rather than have to have specific environments to code. But the ability to federate, the nature of how APIs work, how you can build horizontal services on top, how you can collaborate, how you can create ecosystems, every one of these is better in the kind of model of the cloud than you would get with the traditional monolithic system. And I worked a long time with monolithic systems to know their negatives. I see the cloud as freedom.
Just the last question, because I know you have a tight schedule.
Yeah.
But for those cloud frameworks, don't you think we still need an integrated approach, so those cloud services also be interoperable or being able to be integrated with on-premise solutions in the future? Or is it just cloud?
No, I mean, that's like saying that when we had the shift of electricity from on-premise to generator provided elsewhere, the answer was going to be some sort of, shall we all keep some on-premise anywhere? And if we did that, the point of on-premise in many ways to me is that you are retaining the capacity planning risk for yourself. Okay, I have run relatively large departments, and the one thing I have about on-premise is the fact that it reduces my options, and it keeps me having to keep quite a lot of the costs and the management structures that would otherwise want to get rid of, so that I can concentrate on things I'm better at. Right? I don't think the hybrid is the answer. I think we will move more to the cloud rather than less.
Okay. Thank you for the answers, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bjorn.